Good morning, and it's time for another edition of Inside Oakwood with Dr. Leslie Pollard and special guest. Good morning to you, Dr. Pollard.
Hey, good morning, Donna. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing on this, I guess this amazingly cold morning here in Huntsville, Alabama? How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really good. I got up this morning. Of course, everything was iced over, but it's still a nice morning. We're motivated to keep on going forward, right?
We are. A little ice won't stop us, although we have suspended our operations today and
Yeah.
made them virtual in the interest of safety for our employees and our students.
And also,
So,
I want to mention that a program was canceled today for
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So we had a special program during this Black History Month for Dr. Eva B. Dykes. That was an outdoor event, actually, but of course, the weather, the inclement weather, both the freezing temperatures, the freezing rain, and the anticipated snow that's supposed to come here to Huntsville, Alabama, made wisdom caused us to say, let's postpone that to a safer and better time.
Right, right. So today we're going to be talking about a very important topic: diversity, inclusion, and recruitment. So, what do you have to say on that topic before we dive right in?
Well, we're gonna dive right in, but again, though, one of the things that we have to remember, and some, this is a good time to remember it too. The only institutions of higher education that were never segregated were HBCUs.
Mm,
Uh-huh. That's
interesting.
right.
Yeah. Trying to
Yeah,
think.
because not really, because while whites could attend HBCUs because of their open admission from the very founding, now many chose not to, but they were never segregated. There were other institutions, the other institutions of higher education, from the very founding barred people of color from entrance into them. So one of the kudos that HBCUs should receive is that our institutions from their very founding were really never segregated. If
Mm,
people voluntarily decided to go somewhere else, they certainly could.
that's
The
true.
other institutions, on the other hand, were segregated
Right.
and were, yes, and required special permission in many instances if our people could even begin to attend one. So every now and then you hear about one person of color who attended, say, Harvard University, like W.B. Du Bois, or someone like, or another good example, Dr. Eva B. Dykes, right? Um, but that was by special permission and extremely limited quotas.
Right.
So the history is interesting. When people don't know their history, they really don't recognize the ground that they've traveled. And
Right.
one of the things that we're doing in our HBCU is being intentional and being true to our core mission, a founding mission, which is very important, but also expanding that mission so that we encompass all of the people who are represented in our various constituencies. And that's where diversity and inclusion comes in. HBCUs have a historic embrace for many people from many places, many parts of the world. When you look at Oakwood University, I like to remind people that more than 50 countries are represented on campus between the employees and the student body.
Wow.
50 different countries. And
Wow.
sometimes, Donna, people will say to me things, and I hope I don't sound defensive when I say it, but they'll say, well, I'm looking for an institution that's more diverse. Sometimes their parents will say that. And I'll say, well, is 54 countries diverse enough for you? I mean, how much more do you, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and of course, that gets us talking. Actually, that triggers a conversation. We begin to talk about what does diversity and inclusion look like.
Mhm.
Well, this morning in our broadcast, we'll get an idea to see. We'll inside Oakwood, we'll get a glimpse of what diversity and inclusion looks like.
Right.
And I have my special assistant with us this morning for diversity and inclusion, Dr. Isak, Pastor Doctor, speaking prophetically, Elder Isak Ibarra, a two-time graduate of Oakwood University, one of the people who actually introduced me to the beautiful country of Cuba and took me there, and we preached together and did work there, and it was just wonderful. So we have him here, and then he's going to introduce some of the guests that are with us. I see Odalis is with us. I see members of OLA, Oakwood Latino Association, is here. And I think this is going to be a very eye-opening discussion
Wow.
about the way diversity and inclusion is moving at Oakwood. And Oakwood, I don't want to talk too much, Donna,
That's
so
okay.
jump right in. Oakwood is reflective of its constituents. If you look at the growth of our regional conferences, we have regional conferences, and I'm going to use one ethnic group as an example. We have regional conferences with 60 and 70 Latino churches. These are our constituency. And when I see our young people from Latino backgrounds, I say, these are my young people. And I'm just grateful for what Pastor Ibarra is doing, because he's a spark plug and a lightning rod to keep these things going on and keep them moving forward. So that's what we're doing this morning. And may we be blessed as we share insights and look at insights today as to how inside Oakwood actually looks as we continue to serve broader and broader constituencies.
Wow. So Pastor Ibarra, can you just tell us, you are the Special Assistant to the President for Diversity and Inclusion. So just kind of paint that picture for us. If someone were, not COVID times, walk on our campus and see all of our students and Hispanic students, and tell us what that looks like, first of all.
Well, good morning, Dr. Pollard. Buenos días, Dana.
Buenos días, mi amigo.
It is my privilege to be here and to be the special assistant to a president that understands diversity, that had done this in the past, and that I consider him to be my mentor as well.
Okay.
I'm just delighted to be part of this great institution, and just being graduated twice from Oakwood University. Before I introduce everyone on the panel, I realized that the easiest thing to translate is language. That's the easiest thing to translate. It's harder to translate culture. It is harder to translate history. So part of the role that I play in Oakwood University is making sure that not only language is translated, but our rich history is actually being translated. Our culture is actually translated, not only to the incoming student, but also to the staff, administrator, to everyone on campus, to make sure to have a better understanding of each other. We know that on the Latino student, we have immersed them in the richness of the African American, and this month is special because it's Black History Month. There's no place in the world that Latino could come to understand more about the Black African American history than to Oakwood University. And this is an opportunity for the Latino to emerge into the African American community. Also, part of the thing that we do it in connection with with Holmesville, with the city of Holmesville. We connect with Global Child Alabama. They don't only learn about the culture, they learn about the city. Also in combination with student services, with Dean Night, we do different activity. We go outside our campus. That way they learn. So just coming to Oakwood University, I believe is a blessing for every Latino. And that should be an experience that everyone should be able to engage. By the time they leave Oakwood University, they will be ready not only to serve, but they'll be more prepared to carry the ministry. And I know I sound preachy, so I'm going to start right now. And I'm just going to introduce, I see Pastor Orelbis Herrera. He has a dual role. He's at a special enrollment for Latinos at Oakwood University, and he's doing a fantastic job. And he's also the pastor. Okay. The pastor for the Odalis church. You can see the logo on the back, and he's gonna talk about how the church play an important role in the Latino community at Oakwood University. Then we have Jaffet, and let's put it together because Jaffet is a graduating senior, theology major at Oakwood University. He's also a DACA student, and he got so many testimonies to tell us, and he has a lot to say in teaching us how this experience looks like. And then, of course, we have Odalis Miranda. Odalis Miranda, that not only she worked for us, but Michael, her son, graduated from Oakwood University. He's doing a fantastic job in the chaplaincy area in Orlando, in the area of in Florida. So they all have to say a lot. So I think I have said my part, and I will turn it over to you.
Well, one of the things that I want to say, and thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction, Pastor Ibarra. As we think, and I want to do a frame, Donna, because it actually occurred to me one day as I was traveling. Now, interestingly, I was in Brazil, and I was preaching there in Brazil, and I had a translator who was just phenomenal, and he was translating everything I was saying into Portuguese, and that was wonderful.
Wow.
And as I looked at the audience, I saw such an amazing racial mix of persons. Now, coming from the United States, race plays a very important part in American society. I understand, and we can discuss it intellectually and academically with some other people. There are people who say, well, race is only a social construct. Well, that may be true, but functionally, from across many, many areas, we see that race in America is embedded with the history of America. One of the things, as I was preaching, I came down, and after the sermon, one of the pastors came to me and he said, "We have a name for you." And these were all of the Black Brazilians, and they were laughing and chuckling. I said, "What's that?" They said, "We're going to call you the man from Bahia."
Oh.
I said, "The man from Bahia." I said, "Okay." And they all burst out laughing. I said, "So why are you coming?" He said, "Because that's the area, that's the region of Brazil where all of the Black people, the majority of the Black people live."
Oh.
And then I began doing my research and found out that there's 73 million Black people in Brazil, right? And we began talking, and it caused me to think for a moment that when we think about Black History Month, we think about it specifically in the American context, but we also think about it globally. We think about it in terms of the diaspora, where we have the sons and daughters of Africa and African descent almost in every part of the world, like in Veracruz, Mexico, and we can talk about these things. But again, when we're reaching out, and one of the things that Pastor Ibarra has emphasized so many times, even from his own background, that once we get outside the borders of America, conversations about race take on a different nuance, because you have so much racial mixture in so many countries, and in countries where it is embraced. Isaac, would you like to say a little bit about that before we go to our guest? Because he and I have talked about that.
Yes, Dr. Pollard, and I'm reflected on a study that was done. It was a series actually back in May 2020 by USA Today, who had actually mentioned that Latino, surpasses the 60 million people, but back in 2019, the growth is slow a little bit. And we don't want to get into detail why, but we know why, but it surpasses the 60 million, and sometime when we talk about Latino, it focuses on crimes, immigration, but 80% are resident in citizenship, and when they cross the border, we could say it that way, or whenever they get here to United States, we embrace something that we never heard before, and I'm talking about whenever we start filling papers on immigration that ask for about our ethnicity, and we do not even know how to answer those questions, because that is the first time in our life that we are facing those, because back in our country, we don't have Hispanic or Latino, I have mentioned it before. In Cuba, we have Cuban. In Mexico, we have Mexican, and so on. But whenever we get here to the state, now we are embracing this whole thing that we call diversity, and a lot of questions being asked. What is your race? What is your ethnicity? And sometimes we're like, what's going on? I don't even know who I am. I don't know how to answer that question. Am I brown? Am I Black? Am I Latino? Am I Mexican? So that's a reality that we experience here in the United States, and I don't know if others could tackle on that, but I think that's something unique to the state.
Wow. All right. That's pretty deep. Yeah, you're coming to America, and there's so many ways you can be addressed. But let's go back to Pastor Herrera and have him speak to us about the relationship that you spoke about earlier, Pastor Ibarra, and the relationship between Latinos and the church. Can we have Pastor Herrera speak to that and how that relationship is working with Oakwood University?
Así es, buenos días.
Buenos días, mi amigo.
Buenos días. Me siento muy feliz de estar aquí y trabajar para Oakwood University.
It's an honor to be here and work for Oakwood University.
Es una oportunidad grande para todos los hispanos saber que Oakwood ha abierto las puertas a los latinos.
It's an honor to know that Oakwood has opened its doors for the Hispanic community.
Quiero aprovechar este momento para agradecer a Dr. Richardson, a Tamara, a Chris, a todo el equipo de admisión por su apoyo directamente hacia mí como reclutador hispano.
I want to thank all the admission department for their help and their support towards me.
También al pastor Ibarra por el departamento de diversidad. Todos juntos estamos trabajando juntamente con toda la comunidad hispana, especialmente con los pastores.
I also want to thank Pastor Ibarra for his support in his department towards the Hispanic community, especially with the other pastors. They're supporting the Hispanic students in Oakwood.
En pocas palabras, en estos momentos nos comunicamos diariamente con todos los pastores hispanos y sus iglesias, y los pastores animan a los estudiantes hispanos a venir a Oakwood.
We are currently communicating with different pastors from different Hispanic churches, and they are supporting us by encouraging their members, their youth members, to come to Oakwood.
Así es. Y también, una vez que los estudiantes llegan a Oakwood, la iglesia Ola los recibe y provee buen ambiente para que ellos puedan sentirse saludablemente y puedan crecer espiritualmente en este lugar.
Once these students come to Oakwood, they find a place like home here, with the church of Ola, the Hispanic church. They find an environment that's familiar to them, and they are able to grow spiritually and academically.
Wow. So tell me, how does Oakwood University work with Latino and Hispanic students who may have the language barrier? Is that a challenge, and how does Oakwood University meet that need of those types of students? And I'm directing this to our student here, Jaffet.
I was one of the few students. I was one of the students who spoke English, but I have friends who are actually speaking Spanish. One of the things the school did was hiring Pastor Dr. Miranda. He has been helping out the students, especially in the theology department. But with other departments, there's also the teachers. They accommodate each student to learn in their language. Also, other students like myself who speak English, we also support those students who only speak Spanish. And we have gone through those similar classes, the basic classes. We try to help those students to understand, and most of these students who came in just speaking Spanish, now they're speaking English more often, and they have been learning quite a bit English, and you'll be surprised to hear them speaking to you in a new language.
Wow, so it's not uncommon for a Latino or Hispanic student to come to Oakwood and not speak very well in English, and is able to complete the classes?
Yes, it's surprisingly, yes, they come just speaking Spanish, but through their journey here, they learn more English and just accommodate quickly.
So you feel that Oakwood University is meeting the needs of students like you to be able to come and matriculate through successfully, because you're a senior now, right?
Yes.
Wow.
I believe so. Yeah, they accommodate really well. They accommodate these students really well, and supply for their needs.
Wow, that's amazing, Dr. Pollard. Well, let's talk to
if I may ask,
yes,
may I add something good? everything that Jaffet mentioned is correct. But then again, I'm proud to announce that the Oakwood University, is aware of that. And there's a program, the ESL, Dr. Wheeler, she's been actually working on that with Dr. Wilson, the academic. So there's an initiative from the university, the ESL program, and it's an amazing program that it will take a new spin soon. And we'll be sharing that as well.
Wow.
In addition to everything that was said.
Okay.
And Donna, for our listeners, ESL is English as a second language, is the current nomenclature right now, and we're revising that nomenclature. But ESL, English as a second language.
Wow. So let's bring Miss Miranda in now. She's the Oakwood University Library cataloger, and also someone mentioned she had a student that graduated from Oakwood University. Tell us about your role as we build our population of Latino Hispanics on our campus.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dr. Paula and Pastor Orelbis and Pastor Ibarra and everybody here. Yeah, I am English second language, and I'm trying to speak the much better that I can. Yeah, we have a community here that work with Latino students, and I think that is not just Latino community. It's African American community. Everybody is accept the student and helper. I had experience study here 3 class, and the 3 class the professor helped me so much. Yeah, I never found help in this university as another university. Now I am continue to study at UAH. But they did not support the same that I feel here in Oakwood University. I think for Latino student come to our university is the best place because they engage here like Afro-American. We are our roots is African. Everybody know part of the African American culture. When you came to United States, probably it's going to be queer for us because we have to learn about all the culture, but not only that, you have to learn about politics and so many things. And it's, I am so nasty. It's something that is sometimes for us is like so many things to learn at the same time. But when you came to Oakwood University, the student found a place where they can learn everything about culture, about American history, and English language. I am able to speak English because I am working here. My first time that I worked was the library, and still I work there. I never left. And I think that I will be here until I retire. Still I have 16 years more. I am preparing, I am doing professional development because I want to serve here. A student need, not just Latino students, all the students need help. And I will be here for that. Latino students found a good place here. And I know that because I have the experience that the students say that they are happy here. Also, whatever from community Latino, as Jaffet say, even when they cannot speak English, we help them to go financial aid and try to be like a translator. No, you see.
Yes.
And try to help this student. My son came here without any English. And I'm so happy and grateful because he's working in Florida hospital, and it's because he was formed here. This university represents for me the most better place that I found in United States. Probably Cuban people like to be in Miami, Florida, but I'm so happy to be here. And this is my experience. Thank you.
I would like to add something that maybe she's not going to say, but her family is one of the better supporters that we have in the community whenever we receive a student. And it's because her experience. I remember, Odalis, I remember when I got a phone call, 10 years ago from Pastor Raul Cruz. Even though they're from Cuba, they came from Chile. And they got to Miami. And Pastor Cruz, this is the connection with the pastor. Pastor Cruz actually said, Pastor Ibarra, I got this family here and they have a son, and it will be a waste of time for them to remain in Miami. Please take them to Oakwood. And they came to Oakwood University. So this is an example of a family that came to Oakwood University supporting and looking for a better life for their son. And their son came, now he's serving, but they remain at Oakwood University, and they are repeating the experience. They are supporting other family that comes. And I know as we transition a little bit, because we have Jaffet and we're running out of time, I know that this is the Latino, but whenever we talk about diversity, it's not just the Latino community. I'll be glad to speak for other groups on campus. We have the people, the students from Rwanda, and I would like that Topola to have on me at some time, because they step over our office and we are supplying, their needs. And so this edition is talking about the Latino student, but I would like to remind that diversity is not only Latino. We have, like Dr. Pollard mentioned, so many people from different countries that I'm proud to be part in their life as well.
So our students, whether they're prospective students that are listening right now, wondering, because English is their second language and they don't speak it very well, they should not worry about coming to Oakwood, because we have all the resources that they need to be successful here. So tell us where these prospective students can go, where they can get information about enrollment, especially if they're speaking a different language. Where do they start to begin the process of enrolling at Oakwood University?
Okay, I will defer that, if you don't mind, to the enrollment special, to Pastor Orelbis. And I don't know if it will be some time to hear a little bit about Jaffet, which is a DACA student, and he has to say a lot about how he got here to Oakwood, and speaking directly to the initiative that we are still doing in recruiting and how they could contact us. Jaffet, I don't know if you want to touch on that. And then Pastor Herrera.
We can go over a few minutes, and we can bring that into the conversation. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We were gonna go to Jaffet right now.
Yeah.
Okay, go right ahead.
Well, my experience was very miraculous, if you can say that. I'm a DACA student, so growing up, I didn't think I was gonna attend college. I did always have that, dream of being a pastor someday. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but my local pastor from church, his name is Hector Garcia. He told me about Oakwood. At first, I was reluctant because all my friends were going to different other schools, and I didn't know anyone here at Oakwood. I had no idea about it. But he spoke to me about it, and he spoke to Pastor Ibarra. Another pastor who was preaching that week told me about Oakwood, and he said, we live by faith. And I said, okay, I'm gonna take the next step. We came in January 2017. We didn't know how it was gonna happen, but miraculously, by God's doing, I was able to stay here for my first semester. God provided everything that I needed. I don't know how it happened. Let me tell you, but God worked His way through everything, with the support of Pastor Ibarra, the other pastors, all the people who were here. When I first came here, it was I felt like I fitted in, like in the right place. I came in and I was walking on campus, and the first people who saw me, they say hi to me. They made me feel welcome. I also had a little. I had an accident for car accident 2017, the fall. I couldn't come back, but with God's help, I was able to come back 2018 fall, and it was a lot of support from the people. It was a lot of advice that they gave me that allowed me to come back here, and I believe this is where I belong. This is my last year as a senior, and I can say that God brought me here. It was God's purpose for me to be here, and thanks to all the support from the people around here, it's not impossible. You don't. There's no excuse to not come here and try to overcome these obstacles. I'm a DACA student. I had no money to come here, and God provided everything. So when God has a plan for you, and God is calling you to come to Oakwood, you got to do it.
Wow. You're listening to WJOU 90.1 FM, licensed to Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. So, Jaffet, could you tell us why you decided to become a minister?
Yes, that was it's kind of a long story, but I'm just trying to make it short. My parents were having a baby. They had two girls. They wanted a son, so they said, "You know what, God, we want so if you give us a son, we will dedicate him to the ministry." And so I was born, and that they dedicated me to do God's service. Throughout my life, though, my teenage years, the complicated years, I kind of went far from that. I didn't want to be a pastor. I didn't want to do have to do anything with church because I had grown up in a very strict environment, and I wanted some freedom.
Mhm.
But I never left church. I was going to church, but I just wasn't happy. Um, I was in a car with a pastor, and he asked me what I wanted to do in the future. I was in high school. I remember I was about 16 years old. I don't know why out of my mouth it came the words came out theology.
Wow.
Like I don't it was not random. I don't want to say that, but it wasn't me who said that. I said theology. Next Sabbath, I was trying to I was in the audio trying to serve in church and everything. The pastor's preaching up there, and he says, "Oh, there's a young person, there's a young man here who wants to be a pastor." And I turned red as a tomato, and everybody starts looking back, and he's like, "Yeah, it's Jaffet." And I said to myself, "I don't want to be a pastor." I said that. I don't know why I said theology. But God worked his way through, and I fell in love with the ministry. I fell in love with helping others. I fell in love with the church, and here I am.
Mm.
Here I am now.
And you're graduating this year. And are you working with Pastor Herrera?
Yes, I help out in the church, Ola Church. I'm also helping out in another church in Jasper, Alabama. It's an hour and a half away. Um, but when God calls you to serve, it's just He prepares everything. He prepares the way. He prepares whatever you need. He prepares you as well. Let me tell you, I wasn't really good at speaking in public before, but coming to Oakwood, I got the job of the task of being the Spanish tutor for the school. I was working with Dr. Burgos at the time, my freshman semester, and that helped me so much. I was speaking in public on Wednesday nights for prayer meeting. I was speaking in public Friday nights for prayer meeting. I was speaking in public on Sunday mornings. We used to have soccer in the mornings, and then we watched the Spanish movie. Wednesday nights, I would teach him a little bit of Spanish related to the Bible. Fridays as well, and it was just a great experience that allowed me to overcome my obstacles and the things that I had in front of me.
Wow. Dr. Pollard, that's just amazing to see how a student can transition from, a place where they don't really know the culture of America, the language and everything. They come here and be so successful like Jaffet. That's really amazing.
Amen. Amen. And thank God for godly parents too, right? I mean, I saw the story of Samuel, right? Remember, Hannah prayed. She said, "Lord, if you give me this child, I will give this child to the Lord."
Yes.
And there are people who are actually living that faith right now, and we've just heard a moving testimony about that.
So as we get ready to close now, like as I was saying, there are some Hispanic, Latino people listening, students, prospective students. Where should they go to get information to enroll and start that process for Oakwood University? Because they were probably thinking, I can't go there because I don't speak English. Okay, tell us. Ibarra or Dr. Pollard, whoever.
Yeah, or Pastor Herrera too works in this area. So, Pastor.
Oh, okay.
Así es, todos los interesados pueden contactarme. Estamos todo el tiempo dispuestos a compartir información acerca de Oakwood. Me pueden contactar a mi teléfono personal, también al 256-726-7962.
Anyone who's interested, you can contact Pastor Herrera through his email or through his personal phone. His phone number is 256-726-7962. He's available at any time and he is willing to support.
También nos pueden seguir por el YouTube, canal de YouTube de Hola, también por las redes sociales en Primero Dios. Allí van a tener información de todo lo que hacemos en Oakwood.
You can also follow us through our YouTube channel under the name Ola, O-L-A. Also, you can follow us through our Facebook page on Primero Dios. And you can see all the events that we do, all the things that we do here with the Hispanic community.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Pollard. You want to wrap it up?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations, of course, to Pastor Ibarra for the tremendous work that he's doing. We've shown the array of opportunities that are here at Oakwood this morning for our Latino community. Increasingly, this is the growing sector within the North American division and within our regional work too. A significant growth trend is happening, and Oakwood University as a division institution is committed to serving all of our constituents and being the blessing to them that we've been to so many others in the past years. And many of us are learning the language. We're not that good at it yet, but I guess mis hermanos inglés que mejor, es mejor que mi español. I said, what I tried to say was their English is better than my Spanish. And so we're grateful, of course, and God has been good. And we continue to grow Oakwood University to fulfill the mission that it has been called to. One of the things that I often think about as one who has studied the book of Revelation, I remember a story one day, and I'll close with this, Donna. I remember a story one day of a little lady who visited a Black camp meeting long ago. And she saw the people shouting and et cetera, and having a wonderful time, but she interpreted it as something else. And she said to one little lady after church, she said, "Don't worry." She said, "One day when we get to heaven, we'll all be white." And
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, she thought that, yeah, she meant well. God bless her, she meant well. But this is what we know from the book of Revelation. From the book of Revelation, John said when he looked over there, he saw people from every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. And so all those diversity markers, he could identify them because he saw them in heaven. We don't know exactly what heaven is going to be like, but who we are and what we've experienced is going to be carried over. And in many, many ways, those markers will be evident and will distinguish us. So God is blessing our institution, and that life begins right now. So with that in mind, we're grateful. Thank you, Donna, for leading us this morning and guiding us. And thank you, my colleagues, for the work that you are doing to reach every community with the great message and ministry of Oakwood University.
Thank you again. And listen, thank you for being here for another edition of Inside Oakwood. We'll see you again on Thursday. Y'all have a great day now.